Hello friends! Today it's going to be a tarot deck review. Specifically one I was given for Christmas this year, which is the Marvel Tarot deck and guidebook, which I have some opinions about because it's like one of the people on the team understood the assignment and then marketing got a hold of it. So sit back, relax, and we'll get right into it. This is the first time I'm doing a tarot deck review, and I'm starting with this one because my family who got me this, my aunt and cousins, noticed immediately the expressions on my face as I started flipping through it and going, oh yeah, I agree with this one. This one's a good fit. That one, what? So about half of the cards I feel are just so spot on, and then the other half I feel like marketing demanded that they put this character in the deck, and so they had to figure out how to make it fit. I'm not really going to touch on every card, just some of the ones in the major arcana that really fit or really don't, and then the face cards of the minor arcana. My reasoning for this is because of how they organized the items, people, etc., characters from the comics that they chose to include. So I'll start with just the minor arcana real quick. Each of the minor arcana, cards 1 through 10 of each suit, are just objects from the universe. So I don't feel like they're really worth digging into in this video. Instead, I want to focus on the characters that they actually handed to major cards in the deck. So just because I have them already in this order on my table, we're going to start with wands. One of the details that I like amongst the different suits is they each have a color scheme. So it's very clear when it could have been very difficult to tell what suit was which because they don't follow the standard, this is wands. Every picture has wands in it. So all of the wand cards have a golden kind of orangey, yellowy border on them, where swords have a more steel gray color, coins have a more gray-green color, and cups, which I feel is an odd choice, have a red color. So you can already start to see some of the weird choices in this, because cups are typically water, but they made them red instead of blue. I understand making the swords a blue-gray steel color, because swords are metal and that's a metallic color. Wands being this yellow color I think is fine. I think it would have been made more sense to make it the red, though. That being said, let's get into some of these characters. For the Page of Wands is typically like creativity. It's a young person, youthful optimism, and they used Johnny Storm from the Fantastic Four, which I think is a beautiful choice. He is full of energy. He is typically the optimistic person. So that one I think is a good choice. Knight of Wands is Shuri. So Black Panther's younger sister. Also, I think an excellent choice, where the knight is about transition and movement and messages of the energy of the suit. She's all about innovation, about discovery, about making something new out of what previously existed. So I think that was another fantastic choice. Queen of Wands is Riri Williams. At least I think that's her last name, which I understand why they picked. But simultaneously, I look at it and I go, I'm not sure if she was the best pick, because the Queen is supposed to be the card that is in control of, they have mastered their suit. And she is young and arrogant and not particularly, I don't see her as a mature enough character to embody this card. And you'll find that that is a common complaint I have about this deck, because I think this has more to do with marketing than I think it has to do with understanding of tarot. Does she embody these traits of the suit of wands? Yes. but I don't think she should be the queen of the suit. Actually, I would have traded her with Shuri. I would have just switched those two, because Shuri is, as a character, more in control of herself. She understands both her limitations and her capabilities, and Riri has not matured to that point yet. The King of Wands, I think, is a fabulous choice, which is Beast from the X-Men. Highly intelligent character, well aware of his limitations, of his understanding, really embodies mastery of intellectual pursuits. So I think that his was an excellent choice. Other cards that I want to draw attention to in Swords. As we know, Swords is the suit of difficulties, of challenges. And I had to look up some of these characters because one of them, because I didn't know enough about them. So for the Page of Swords, we have, wow, I just blanked Spider-Gwen. There we go. I just totally lost her name, which I think is a good choice. She is very much the I face my challenges person. Being the page fits because she is youthful. She is still learning, but she is well on her way towards mastery. For the Knight of Swords, I had to look up who she is because at a glance, I did not recognize her. So I'm going to double check in the book real quick to make sure I remember the correct name to give her. Her name is Misty Knight. She is a character who I really don't know very much about, so I can't really comment on her. She's one I need to look more into. For the Queen, it's Elektra, who I think is a fabulous choice. She is one of the consummate martial artists of the MCU. While not necessarily the most powerful character, she does embody the meaning of the card. And then they have Thor for the King, which I think is also excellent. Being the god of lightning, god of thunder, he is the consummate warrior. But he also still has that softer side of, I care for those under my protection. I watch out for them. Coins is the suit of family, of earth, of financial endeavors. And again, they made some choices where I'm like, don't know that fits. So for the Page, they have Groot, which I think is fine. I'm not sure that he's really the best representation for the suit of Pentacles or the suit of Coins, mostly because he doesn't really... I mean, he cares about the family aspect of things, but he doesn't have any really bearing on the financial or the other side of things. So I have mixed feelings about him. For the Knight of Coins, we have Scott Lang, Ant-Man, who, again, I'm like, I see it, but simultaneously, he only really has half of it. Being the Knight, he is about changes, about transitions and messages. But simultaneously, I'm like, his major motivation is family, is taking care of his family. But simultaneously, I look at it and I go, I don't know. I have mixed feelings. This one, I very much don't think is the right fit. I understand why they picked her, because she is a very popular character. For the Queen of Coins, they picked Black Cat, who... I mean, she is obsessed with money, but that doesn't really show mastery. That doesn't show... So, again, I'm like, I think there was a better fit. The problem is, particularly in the suit of Coins, which is about family life, comic books are not nice to family people. They just aren't. Because they want the drama, they want the conflict. So, it's hard. King of Coins, they put Tony Stark. Where I'm like, okay, I get it. He is an incredibly economic power. Like, he has a lot of it. But simultaneously, he's not really in control of himself. He's not a character who has proven mastery of himself, which I think is something that's embodied in the King cards. Got some mixed feelings on that one too. So for cups, which is the suit of emotions and water and those associated meanings, let me scroll back up in my notes because I'm kind of going all over the place out of order in this. Youthful creative. And I think they got this one out of the park with it being Miles Morales, the younger Spider-Man, who he is an immensely creative character. He's full of energy, and I think he fits. The Knight of Cups, this is one where I'm like, I really don't, I think you missed on this one. Is Cyclops? Sure, he's very tumultuous. Got lots of emotions. But he's not... So, a lot of the associated meaning of the knight is, particularly in Cups, is like the white knight, the protector, the one who will sweep you off your feet and carry you to a better place. I just don't get that out of the character of Cyclops. So, Queen of Cups is a fan favorite character, so I understand why she was included. I don't know that I would have put her as the Queen of Cups, but it's Squirrel Girl. Lovely character. I don't know enough about her as a character to really say how well she embodies the energy. In the things I have seen her as part of, she doesn't come across as queen energy. I think I would have put her as either the page or the knight, and then I think it would have been fine. But I don't know that I would have put her as queen. And then King of Cups is Vision, which I think is a fabulous choice, because even though he is quite literally an artificial intelligence, he is routinely one of the most empathetic characters. And he uses his understanding of people to help others. As a character, is emotionally grounded, aware of himself, in control of his emotions. So I think he's a good fit for the king. Major Arcana. The ones that fit really well, I'm just essentially going to say, this is a good fit, and I like it. And I'm going to keep my critique for some that just really don't fit. So, for example, slam dunk on the Fool, Deadpool. I think that's a slam dunk for Marvel characters who really fit the description. For the Magician, Dr. Stephen Strange. Again, he is the Sorcerer Supreme. It fits. The High Priestess is Storm, which I see why she was picked. And it depends on which era of the comics on whether she's a good fit or not. So the High Priestess card is about divine feminine, about the feminine mysteries, the feminine authority over the spiritual, which in recent times Storm definitely embodies. She, in her earlier days, was worshipped as a goddess because of her ability to bring rain and the necessary weather patterns for survival. And more recently, in the comics, she has actually taken on kind of a divine role again. So I think she's a good fit depending on which era of the comics you're looking at. The Empress is Miss Fantastic, which, again, powerful female character. She is consistently reaching out, trying to take care of other people, so I think she's a good fit. The Emperor, they paired her husband, Reed Richards, which works. Again, for those two, it really depends on what era of the comics you're looking at. Because Reed Richards, well, no, because Emperor can be, particularly in its reversed state, really embodies the worst character traits of Reed Richards. So I can see how it fits. The Hierophant was Charles Xavier, which I think is a good fit. The Lovers, I absolutely adore. It's Spider-Man and MJ. Like the quintessential romance in Marvel Comics. So now we're starting to get into the ones where I'm like, You could have picked a lot of different people, so I'm curious. Tell me in the comments if you would have picked someone else for this. Because for the Chariot, they put Falcon, which I don't disagree with. I'm like, huh, is there anyone who would have been a better fit? Off the top of my head, I can't think of a better fit. But he also doesn't really strike me as the perfect fit either. So I'm like, I don't know. This is part of my issue with this deck is half of the cards are just so on point. Half of them I'm just like, whoa, that's not right at all. And then some of them are just, is this who you got the rights to? And so you had to use them? I don't know. Strength, they used She-Hulk. And I mean, there are so many characters who embody strength in comic books. So I think she's a good choice. I think you could have just as easily put regular Hulk or pretty much any of the characters with super strength. But I think she's a good choice. The issue with the strength card and comic books is there are so many strong characters. The Hermit, while this one took me a little bit to think about, and then I settled on, yeah, this is a good fit. The Silver Surfer. He is an incredibly isolated character. And because of that, he's got a sense of wisdom to him that many other characters don't. Wheel of Fortune, Remy LeBeau, Gambit. One of his primary character traits is being a gambler. So I think it fits. Justice. This is one of the few cards that I saw and I was like, yes, perfect. Daredevil. Because his regular identity is that of Matt Murdock, a lawyer who cares about doing things within the law. But Daredevil doesn't care about the laws. He cares about, was it right? Was it just? So I think this is a perfect perfect character to embody that. The Hanged Man is Bucky Barnes, which particularly in the current iteration of the comics, I think is a perfect fit. There are a lot of other characters that could also have fit as the Hanged Man, being the card where you're just kind of floating. you're stuck in air, and it's the time to make a decision. And I think Bucky Barnes, as currently depicted in the comics, is a fantastic pick. Death is another one that I have opinions about, because the person they picked fits. She does. But we're also talking about a comic book series where they literally have the embodiment of death as a character, which they did not choose for this card. Instead, they picked Jean Grey, which fits because she embodied the Phoenix Force. She is one of the characters who has been dead as often as she's been alive. So I think she's a perfect fit for the card. I just was kind of surprised that they picked her over the literal embodiment of death that exists in the comics. For Temperance, they picked Chun-Li. Whoa. Woo! That's wrong. That is not Chun-Li. I just got Street Fighter on the brain, apparently. I saw the pose and my brain just kicked out the wrong name. Shang-Chi. There we go. Of the Ten Rings. Wow. Can you tell I've... For Temperance, I think he is a good fit. Now that I've put the right name to him. Because, particularly his depiction in the movie. In the comics, I'm not as familiar with him, but particularly his depiction in the movie of, my mother has this set of traits, my father has this set of traits. I am the balance. I am the middle place between them. I take the wisdom of both paths and bring them together, which I think is a fantastic representation for the card of Temperance. And now we get to the first one that I saw and I went, oh, that is so wrong. That does not fit. And I'll probably make a video about this just by itself as well. For the Devil, which is a card about pretty much all the negative aspects of humanity. And being enslaved to your passions, of being the addict. They took Loki. And I understand why they did, because Loki and the Devil in mythology got, slammed together all the time. Even though I don't think Loki's the best fit for the devil card. He is arrogant. He is a trickster. He is deceptive. But by that same token, particularly in the modern rendition of the comics, there are just better options. For example, in Marvel Comics, they have a character named Mephisto, who is a much more better representation of the devil. He makes deals, he tricks people, he enslaves them to their desires. So I understand why they picked Loki. I just think they had better options. For the tower, they picked Galactus, which I think works. If he shows up on your doorstep, you are in for a bad day. Within the story, he literally eats planets. If he shows up, you are doomed. So I think he's a good choice for the tower. For the star, this is one of the ones where I went, I don't know enough about this character. After having read up on her a bit, I went, yes, she fits. This is perfect. I also understand why they picked her at this time, because she is one of the Marvels. So for the star, they picked Monica Rambeau, also known as Photon. The star is a card of hope, of light, of purpose. And she actually fits this as a character, which I think was an excellent choice. For the moon, this one's almost too much on the nose. Moon Knight, which is perfect. I really don't need to say much about that one. This is another one where I was just like, marketing team. You missed it. So for the sun, Ms. Marvel. If I remember correctly, her real name is Camilla Khan. The sun card is masculine, and they picked a teenage girl. While I agree, it is also a card of optimism. It is a card of seeing the light. And as a character, she does embody that. She is a very optimistic character. I've just noticed quite a few of the cards that are traditionally masculine in this deck have all been replaced with, specifically, teenage girls. And that's a little concerning to me. I understand it's because of the marketing, it's because these are the characters that they are really pushing right now, but simultaneously I look at it and I go, because of how you describe the card in the book, you clearly know about the symbolism of tarot. So why didn't you pick a better representation of it? I would have instead put Camilla Khan as one of the page cards in one of the suits. Probably, actually, I think I would have made her the Page of Cups. She definitely is a character deserving of inclusion in the deck. I just don't think she fits the Sun card. There are, I believe, better choices. So I'd love to hear your comments, your thoughts on which Marvel character would have been a better choice. For Judgment, this is another one where I'm like, I don't even know who I would have picked, but they picked Black Panther, which isn't a bad fit. I just don't know that he's the best fit. My jury's still out on that one. And this is the one where I looked at it and I went, apparently I have to make a video because it just doesn't work. And I understand why they did it, but this is the one where I went, oh, marketing. They picked Carol Danvers to be the World. At least they put a woman on a feminine card, so that works. But the World card is about completion, about being whole. It's feminine. It's about cycles being completed. Those are not the traits that in the story Carol Danvers portrays. I would have actually put her as Judgment. I think she would have fit there because as a character, she cares about this is the law. We follow the law. You break it, you have consequences, which is not a completion style worldview. As a character, she is actually really limited in her worldview. So I don't think that she fits as the World card. And actually, I'm struggling to think of who I would pick out of comic books as the World card, because you don't end up with very many self-actualized characters in comic books. And I'm sure I'm going to get flack for this. But simultaneously, I'm like, oh, that was a marketing choice. That was such a marketing choice, not a love of tarot choice. Editing Eerie here, I figured out who I would put as the world card. And I know it would piss off a lot of people, but it's the one above all. In the comics, he is quite literally the character who is the creator of everything. He is the one above all. Essentially, that would be putting God as the as the world card, or you could say you could be putting Stan Lee as the world card. Actually, even just putting Stan Lee as the card, because he's the one who created it. He's the one who literally created this world, this universe of comics. So, that's my 2 cents on who would have worked as the world. In conclusion, beautiful artwork. I love the detail. I love that they made it very easy to tell which suit each card is from just by the borders on the card. You could tell if it is from the suit of Wands or Cups or a Major Arcana card just by looking at the borders. I like that. About half of the characters were just spot on, perfect. And about half of them were, I see your justification. And then, like you saw, there were 3 or 4 where I was just like, fuck no, that's wrong. So, will I use this deck? Yes. But I also acknowledge it for what it is. It was fan service, very much so. I am a fan. I am very pleased with it as a gift. I don't think I would have bought it, though, because there's a few too many cards that just don't match for me. Like, I didn't even get into the 1 through 10 of the suits because everything was just so contrived on them, particularly for a franchise that has so many characters and so many options. It was so clear to me they were told, you can have X number of characters, and that's why the 1 through 10s of the suits are objects as part of the arsenal of the characters who you see as either the face cards or in the Major Arcana. It is definitely a usable deck, but the market forces on it were too extreme for it, in my mind, to really be a good tarot deck. It's decent, but I wouldn't put it in the good category. So, there's my very long-winded review of the Marvel tarot book. Or, not tarot book, tarot deck. Until next time, walk in the light, my friends.